What's up, guys? It's Mike and Ryan from Sky's the Limit. We're on here today to talk about wholesaling because we get a lot of our clients who ask us what wholesaling is, how do you do it, how do you get started on it, how much money do you need, and we're gonna come on here and address everyone what wholesaling is. So again, I'm Mike, this is Ryan. So we are active wholesalers. We're full-time real estate investors, wholesalers, flippers, etc., etc. The thing about wholesaling is we got involved in it probably 2-3 years ago.
Yep.
And wholesaling and flipping are two completely different things. In a wholesale transaction, you don't need any money. You just need to be decent at marketing or have access to money to spend for marketing. So wholesaling is simply when you find a property that is under market value. So you put that property under contract like you're going to buy it. And then what you do is you assign your rights to that contract to another party. So for example, let's say I am a wholesaler and Ryan owns a 2-family in your local town. And that 2-family is worth $200,000. I go direct to Ryan, right to him. Maybe I sent him a text, I did a skip trace, I got his number, maybe I knocked on his door, I saw his grass was overgrown, whatever. I approached him and I said, hey Ryan, I'm a local investor, I'd love to buy your property, and I put it under contract for $100,000. I know that it's a good deal, and Ryan's like, you know what, you're a cash buyer, you're gonna buy it quick, no inspections, easy transaction, sure, I'll sell it to you for $100,000. This is where the marketing comes into play. I am then going to put it under contract. We're both gonna sign it, it's gonna become fully executed. In that contract, I have right in there the right to assign it. Could be to anyone. So then I go out to my army of all my buyers out there and I say, hey Joe, I have a great property. It's a 2-family in the local market. It's for sale for $120,000. And to Joe, this is an amazing deal. He knows it's worth $200,000 and I'm going to make the spread on it, that $20,000 spread. And it didn't cost me anything. And that's the biggest difference between flipping and frankly owning real estate is I never actually buy the property. I'm just putting it under contract. I'm assigning my right to Joe and I'm making the spread. The spread could be $5,000, it could be $1,000, it could be $100,000. But in a nutshell, that is what wholesaling is. You're putting a property under contract and you're assigning your rights to it, but you're never actually closing on it.
I think it's a true win-win-win because me as a seller, I want my $100,000, right? That's what I wanted from you. I'm getting that. Your end buyer who's buying it for 120 is getting a great deal. That's a win. And you as a wholesaler making the spread of 20,000, that's a win. It's a true win-win-win.
They find out about the spread when you do the assignment. And this is where you really have to kind of vet your buyers because not all buyers of this property are gonna say, well, why do you need to make $20,000? That's a lot of money. But a smart buyer will see the value you're providing him and saying, hey, listen, you brought me a deal $80,000 under market value. Thank you. Bring me another one. Take your $20,000 and do it again. I love that. Thank you so much. That is someone who you want to work with. You don't want to work with someone who's going to nickel and dime you. Well, really can only, I'm really only going to buy it for $110,000. So sorry, you're only going to get $10,000. That's not your ideal buyer. So I think it's important as you're building your marketing lists and your end buyers to work with the right ones.
So let's just be clear here. When you pass along that contract from you to the end buyer, that's when they see how much you're going to make, correct?
It's called an assignment contract. So you have your purchase and sale agreement, which is between me and the owner, so me and Ryan in this case. And then I have another contract that I have the end buyer sign, Joe in this case. So it's gonna say me, Mike Doherty, D&D LLC assigns the right to this contract to Joe for a fee of $20,000. So now Joe is going to ultimately buy the property for $100,000, but he had to pay me a fee of $20,000 to do it. So the end product to him is $120,000. People probably have a lot of questions, but you can buy it through cash. You can do financing.
Sure.
As a lender,
sure.
How would that work out?
Hard money loans. People do it all the time. Okay. So your end buyer would come to me as the lender and say, I am buying this property for $120,000. I'm going to ask to see what the underlying contract is. Underlying meaning the A to B, the seller to you, that contract for $100,000. I will need to see that. And just so you know, like typically lenders do not want to see a massive wholesale fee.
Right.
Let's just take, for example, if you were buying the property from me as a seller for 100 and you're marking it up by 50 or 75,000, more than likely a lender is going to have an issue with that. They see that as like you're almost like manipulating the market, so to speak. Like you're manipulating the price in such a way that the financing doesn't really work. So just know, like 10 to 15%, maybe a little more, totally good. But when you're talking like 50% increases, like you're going to run into issues on the lending side.
If they're using a lender.
Correct.
If they're cash, it doesn't matter. Their cash is cash. We haven't done one yet, but you can do a double closing. Double closing is where you, the wholesaler, actually closes on the property. So you actually have to come with the money to buy it, but on the same day, you turn around and sell it to your end buyer.
So you technically own it for like a second.
You own it for a second. There's companies that do double closings. Actually, we have done them in New Hampshire. You ultimately pay a company to do that for you. So it is possible.
It could be like, say, 1% of the loan amount, or 1% of the amount that you need advanced.
But I think people get caught up is, how do I get started in wholesaling? I think, in my opinion, the number one thing you want to do is you need to find distressed properties. Because no one's really going to sell you a turnkey, beautiful property at a crazy steep discount.
Doesn't happen.
If they don't have to.
Just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
No.
So the way you can find distressed properties, the way we do it, is you can either drive for dollars. So this is just driving around your local neighborhood. Look for properties that the shingles are missing off the roof. The shutters are all disjointed. Grass is high. Driveway looks like crap. Looks like no one's ever been there in the last 6 months. You can Google the address, find their numbers, have someone skip trace it yourself, and give them a call.
I'm gonna do you one even better.
Okay.
This morning I was talking to one of the people that works for us, and he was like, hey, I've been driving around, driving for dollars. I was like, awesome. Deal Machine allows you in their app to drive around and tag properties as you go. So if you're gonna be using them for postcards like we do, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone, because you're marking all the properties that you want marketed to all in one shot. So you're driving around, oh, here's 123 Main Street, looks like crap, click, 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 and then you could literally simultaneously send the postcard and skip trace in their app. So you're killing like three birds with one stone.
And how much does Deal Machine cost?
We got in on a promo and we paid like $750 for a year, but I do believe that was half price. So check back with them. They are making some really great upgrades, but their costs have gone up a little bit. So, but still highly recommend.
So I think it's worthy to know the apps and systems we use for our everyday wholesaling efforts. So we are doing ringless voicemail. We are doing text campaign. We are doing postcards. We're driving for dollars. So what are the systems and apps that we use?
So ringless voicemail has come under some scrutiny with this whole A2P regulation thing. So we don't do too much of that, but Launch Control is a beast on texting, mass texting. They do an extremely good job, I will say. I have done an insane amount of research on what companies, after the A2P regulations came out, that will really do the regulations right, and they are right at the top of my list. I was very impressed with them. Like they really handhold you through everything that you need to do, from like what you need to have on your website to meet these regs. Like all these other things, like they will make sure you have everything in your quiver to make sure you do not get sued, basically. So we use them. They are awesome. Again, that's Launch Control. Deal Machine for postcards, skip tracing, driving for dollars. Yeah, those are the main ones. And cold calling. We have a VA in the Philippines that does cold calling. They use Mojo Dialer. They do. So they have like it's going to take you forever. Like, let's just say you have a list of 1,000 people. 1,000 people is nothing. Right. It's going to take you eons to call on your cell phone and type in 1,000 phone numbers. Right? How. Right, exactly. So you're able to dial more than one person simultaneously. Let's just say you have the triple line dialer. It calls three people at the same time. First person picks up, drops the other two. You talk to them, and then it starts. When that conversation is over, it'll start to ring more people.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just got. So we have it set up where our VA will get the call first, and then it'll go to me or our other employee. But I got a call today, Old Lyme, Connecticut, which is just south of us. I grew up really close there. Guy has 10, I didn't even tell you this yet. The guy has 10 cottages. He's like, yeah, I'll sell it to you. It's on 7 acres. I'm thinking that's a no-brainer Airbnb. I didn't get into the numbers yet, but that is a direct to owner. And whether, this is the beauty of it. So it's either a property or properties that we can take down ourselves and buy in long-term, rental, or we could wholesale them. You know, if I get a good enough deal on it through negotiations and talking with him, then I could wholesale it to an end buyer.
Right. I'll drop what I think is a golden nugget. So the way you got that call was our VA in the Philippines uses a Ring Central phone number in order to make the calls through Mojo Dialer. Okay, so like if you go to Mojo Dialer, like you need a phone number to use. Like you and I have US phone numbers. Yeah. Fine, we can use our cell phones. They need a US based phone number in order to use Mojo Dialer. That is where Ring Central comes in. Okay, so I gave them a Ring Central phone number, and that's how they make the calls. While he's on the phone, if any of the people that he has called are now calling him back because they see a missed call on their phone, he's on the phone. Like, it's gonna just be a missed call.
Right.
So what I did was I set up a call queue where if he is getting a call and he's on the phone and is not gonna answer it, it just rings to several other people, including yourself, which is how you got that call. So like, there's just so many things that you can do. It's insane.
The thing is, there's so many moving parts, and that, like, we kind of went down a rabbit hole here. But we actually, and you can talk about this, we recently started taking on clients because there's so many moving parts and people are busy in their W2 jobs, their day-to-day. They're just busy people. And I think this is if you want to get into wholesaling or just even trying to build more rentals for yourself, or you want to be a flipper, you need access to good deals. And so we have kind of like tried it all and over the years, and we kind of found something that works for us. And we recently started taking on people who were like, hey, can I pay you to do that for me? Like, I'll give you the towns and the states and like that I want to invest in or that I'm interested in investing in. Like, can you market for me? And we're like, yeah, actually we're doing it for sales. Why can't we do it for others? So I'll let you get into it a little bit more.
Who, not how.
Who, not how.
Who, not how. I mean, if we weren't doing this and someone came to me as like, hey, I'm charging X amount per month, but I'm gonna do postcards, cold calling, texting, maybe some ringless voicemail. I'm gonna set up all these fancy things for, where do I sign?
Yeah.
Like,
already vetted the VA, already trained, already ready to go.
We've just been doing this for so long. It's just like we have the systems down, and like whether you're wholesaling, right? Like you're saying, wholesaling rentals, anything you want to do, the first thing is finding that deal. So if you have the means to find it, i.e. having your marketing scheme set up in such a way that brings you deals, like you're going to be golden. Mm-hmm. So like if you work with someone like us who has everything in place and is going to charge you a monthly fee to facilitate all those things and then ultimately bring you deals, I don't know, it's a no-brainer for me.
It's like how property managers kind of get started. I'm sure many of them, ours included, has his own 12-unit building in Hartford, Connecticut. He's like, wow, I'm doing this for myself. I have my systems down. I have my contractors, my handymans, my vendors. Why don't I just kind of branch out and do it for some friends and family? Oh, that went well. Now let me start going out further and further. Now he has a whole business of it. Same exact principle. We're already doing this for our own portfolio. Why don't we do it for other states that we don't invest in, or other areas in Connecticut we don't invest in? We don't really touch Tolland County, Fairfield County, Litchfield County. Right. We don't touch New York. We don't really dive into Massachusetts. So any state we can do it in.
It's all the same principle. Everything applies. It's the same people are looking for the same things. Cold calls, ringless voicemail, postcards. Anything will work.
Yeah. So if you were interested and you heard this and you want to learn more, comment the word "sky's the limit" down below in the comments, and we will follow up with you with all the information they need to know to make a decision, see if this is right for you. But until then, remember, sky's the limit. Dive deep and invest in how you want to live. Thanks for listening.